Hey guys, I've got some nice action music to get us eagerly anticipating this. Okay, so platform, and you're going to go over and access assigned activities. And, I have assigned you, or Ramil has assigned you, should I say, the structure activity. Now I'm looking through, I've got a ton of them, but I'm going to look through and find that I've been taken apart for you. Okay. So it's P2, but anyway, it's a structure activity. We can see that at the top, and we can also then look at kind of what are the functions, okay, what we're trying to do, and here's the grammar itself. Right. So this blah 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 is actually my title. So just for you guys, I'll just type in the title just now, and I suggest you do that right at the end. You know, be creative with your title. Okay. So looking at what I've got to do, alright, let's create an objective. You see I've put my objective in. It's all about production. Okay. Right. So here we have present, practice and produce. Now this is where I recommend you not creative. It's 3 P's, okay? Keep it simple. And then we've got a test for introduction, teach there, and we've got a test as a wrap up. Okay. Right. And you'll see here this is test, teach, test. I'll put the links for this in the when I send it to you. But here's how a course would work, how a lesson would work. In general overline. But we're going to look more importantly at activity. When we create an activity, our test bit's eliciting new vocabulary, explain it in more examples, and then we're going to review it. Okay, so and our actual teach bit is our PPP. Present, practice, and production. Okay. So that's our objective. Now let's look at present. Okay. So titles, as I said before, number them. I'll explain this later, but when you're using the system they can get mixed up, but let's keep it simple. 1, present. Use this little pencil here to open up, and I can create things in here. Okay. I'll show you how to make a table. Okay. So I'm going to adapt the amount of rows that I want. Now, I've probably got 8 pieces of target language that I'm going to present, so go for 8 rows and 2 columns. Okay, and the second part I'll show you more of what I've actually done. Okay, and we can critique it after. In the meantime, let me just show you how you build stuff up. So look at that table. It's pretty bland, pretty grey. So if I select everything inside the table, okay, not outside, inside the table, then right click inside the table, and I'm going to go to cell. I'm going to go to cell properties. Everything within each of those cells is going to get centered, so it looks tidy, and then the whole border, every line is going to be black, so it jumps out a bit. So when I save that, you can see how that's a lot more easy to see. Okay. And if I want to make the actual table itself bigger, now when they come across online, 800 is about the maximum the page can hold, so try not to make anything wider than 800. Okay. And you can see it there. Right. So, just remember, on the student bit, title them, it's what the student sees. Okay, when you're teaching them, this is their material, this is what they're going to see. Okay? Brilliant. And this, make it easy. Now, the person who's teaching your activity doesn't have access to your brain, so you need to give them as clear guidance as what you want them to do with this class as possible. So guidance to help the teacher understand how to teach your class. Okay? Good. Now the writing again, you can see is pretty grey, so select it and see if we can do something with it. Normal, so we go with, but I won't make it bigger. You can see you can go up with the size of the headings, but stick with normal as your general text size, okay? And make it black, and it just jumps out a bit more. I've got 20/20 vision, but that grey is awful for me, so I always make everything black. Okay. Now if I make it bold, you see how it shrinks and goes small? Something with the system. So target language is in capital letters, not bolded, not underlined. Please remember that, because when you make it black, if you make it bold and then I'm looking to try and fix it and I go make it all black, then it all shrinks. So a student was my target language. I make it in capital letters. Okay, let's say if I'm doing a vocabulary activity, that helps the teacher know what we're trying to produce here. Okay, the same with this, just make it black. You see it pops. Put a number in here. Now this may seem, if you're using any kind of, if you're using any images, or you're trying to get their attention to a box, if you're not physically there, you can't point with your finger, especially online. So what I recommend is you put a number and then you can just put in an explanation like this: student to explain the image in box 1. And it's nice and easy, it's numbered. Most students have a constructive knowledge of numbers. Okay, they kind of learn that inductively through culture, I guess, TV programs and stuff. So numbers are great to work with to help you to indicate and to direct your class. Okay, so we're going to look at the presentation. Now you see here, you've got the 3 Ps. So I'm going to move on to presentation stage. Now, you can read what's there, guys. Again, I'll send you the link to this that I've found. You see there's a warm-up feed-in in the 2 parts of the presentation. Well, the way our activities are created, this is kind of there already, and I'll show you. When you create your introduction, your test, that's testing their knowledge, but also giving them a hint as to what we're going to look at. Okay. And then an introduction of the actual target language, everything we're going to be covering. And there's some ideas of activities there. Go to time, but there's some ideas for you. Okay. And a practice stage. Okay. I'm going to give you some idea of what we're going to do in the practice stage, different types of activities. Okay. Your gap filling exercise. Try and avoid them. Sometimes they're very useful, but it's how you write them that makes it important. And then we have the actual production stage. Okay, and here we want to see them use it as freely as possible. Unfortunately, we have to guide them a little bit because we're wanting them to produce specific target language. We'll try and get them to personalize it. That's the key. Okay, and then we've got our final test. Reviewing everything. Have they understood it? A little wrap up. Now, production kind of gives most of that. But the wrap up just is belt and braces, okay? Just gives you that final test to make sure, or for you to evaluate the outcome. You know, the objective, has it been achieved? Okay. Now, target language here. Now, what I recommend is that you pop it in the notes. Okay, it's what you plan to test. You'll get that from once you've created nice material. You'll really know what it is, and then you put that into your introduction and your wrap up. In capital letters. Okay, do your title last, and you can add some hashtags. Okay, so for this one we're using the present simple, so the present simple, and I can build up through them the obvious ones, that hashtags to help us guide the activities. Okay,